Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Behind the Gavel with Jason today. We're excited to bring our guest, Kristen Christian, with Be Organized with us today. Kristen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so delighted to be here.
We're so excited to have you. Kristen and Lisa Foley co-founded Be Organized in 2015. They're a Kansas City-based company who helps people organize their homes and lives. They've been featured in magazines, podcasts, and other things such as In Kansas City, Scale Up, Startland News, Thinking Bigger, 1 Million Cups, Mom Collective, Building Better Moms, done events with KC Hospice, Seasons of the Lake, Us Weekly, The Container Store, Yahoo Entertainment, People, Bravo, and of course now she's made the pinnacle, which is
now Behind the Gavel.
and so Kristen, I've known her for quite a few years. We've worked on a couple of projects together. And folks, if you're watching home, ask questions below if you have them for Kristen or myself. We'd love to have you input during the episode today. Like, comment, or share if you have interest in what we're talking about. But Kristen, why don't you start us off by letting us know kind of how you and Lisa decided that this was something you wanted to pursue, and then what inspired you to do that, and just a little bit about the company.
Absolutely, yes. Well, first of all, thank you, Jason, so much for having me today. It's always an honor to work with you in any capacity, so thank you so much. And of course, yes, I love to talk about organizing and that passion and just the belief of what organization can provide as far as peace of mind and efficiency, productivity for individuals and families. And so Lisa, my partner, and I, it was a no-brainer when we decided to go into business together of what we would do. And we have experienced incredible growth and success simply because as Americans, we are consumers and we are moving and grooving at such a fast pace that it is really hard to keep our environments clear of clutter and to continue to have a home that welcomes us and supports us. And so we just have such a passion to come out and help people do just that, to organize their spaces, but more importantly, to organize kind of what's going on in their head, their relationship with their stuff, so that we can help them create sustainable organizing solutions.
That's awesome. You're right. It's so much more than just the stuff around us. It's what that represents.
Right.
We see that with the States all the time. It's not the things. And I read somewhere that you said organization is a journey, not a destination. And I think
absolutely.
So precious. Tell us, what led you to that thought process? Because we're organizing, you think of it as just putting things in a box and organizing and wiping up, but tell us about that destination, the journey, more than.
Absolutely. Well, because organization is a little bit, or getting organized is a little bit like losing weight or getting in shape, right? If you get there and you stop and you go back to the old way, you're gonna slide right back, and it takes maintenance. And it also takes different kinds of solutions and approaches based on the season of life that you're in. And so when you're a young mother or a young family with kids and diapers and board books, is a very different kind of organization than maybe you're looking to downsize and leave the big family home and go into maybe independent living or a smaller space. And so it is very much tied to where you are in your personal life. And so we work with our clients and remind them that it's a journey, not a destination, and to give yourself grace because we all have a relationship with our stuff. Oftentimes we have maybe a little bit of an unhealthy relationship with our stuff. And so really defining who we are in relation to our stuff helps us then create organization once we understand that relationship.
Absolutely.
And giving yourself grace through the process.
Well, I think that grace is important as well, because we live in, you also talked about not succumbing to the pressure of a Pinterest perfection in anything, especially in organization. And that's part of the whole journey, right? Understanding that you don't need to have the exact same picture you see in Target for your closets, but being organized in a way that helps you clear your mind, clear your space, and clear your clutter.
Absolutely. And what works for you doesn't necessarily work for me. And so allowing yourself permission to do it your way. And also, yes, I mean, you commented on Pinterest. And we sometimes, as professional organizers, really battle that mindset because people call us and they want this gorgeous pantry that they've seen in Pinterest and tagged and liked it. But the reality is it's not sustainable. It's extremely expensive to have all of that material. And work with people to really, dumb it down a little bit and have it make sense for, again, your season of life, your family, your budget, your timeline, and your reality. Because the reality of keeping it up like that for a magazine shoot is not realistic. So we really work with people to be realistic.
So season of life is a perfect segue into what we kind of want to talk about today.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who are associated with my company and the people that we work with regularly are in the later seasons of their life, right? They're looking at talking about going into, and Rennie, thank you so much for coming on. Be Organized is an amazing service. They're so helpful, professional, and valuable. Absolutely.
Thank you, Rennie.
Yeah,
awesome.
Rennie,
Yep.
I agree completely, or else I wouldn't have Kristen on the show. I'll leave that up for a little bit. But yeah, so the season of life. We're talking about people who are going to assisted living, going to a retirement home, smaller home, passing of a loved one. Before we get to the final stages of life, that transition from the big home to a smaller home, whatever that situation is, what are some of the things that mom and dad can do to organize so that when that time comes, it's easier for their children? Because nobody wants to leave a burden, right? So how do they relieve that burden in how does organization play into that idea?
That's so important. And I think that question, what can mom and dad do now? And it's starting now. Start before you're ready to get that sign in the yard and get that house on the market, because oftentimes we're working with people who are making that downsizing transition. They've lived in that home for a long time and went through several different seasons of life in that home. And so the longer you live in a home, the more space you have, the more it's filled. And so, yes, starting so that what breaks my heart is when I see people, and I know you've worked with people like this too, Jason, that they're racing the clock. And they're now, the time is not their friend. They have to get out within a week, 2 weeks, and they have a lifetime of things in this house. And so then it becomes such a negative. And so, yes, the biggest one I would say is start now, start early, so that you can have that time with your loved ones and making sure that people get what they want. You can tell stories about the items. So then it becomes really more of an enriching and bonding experience and passing on those items. Also, to another thing I would say is, don't expect your kids and grandkids and everybody to want everything. And so maybe don't take it personally. That's a tough one. And I know you and I have talked about that, Jason. Tastes change. And sometimes grandma's old Victrola is not what your grandkids want. And so trying to not take it personally. But if you start early and start having those conversations with your loved ones earlier, the better, and less feelings will be hurt.
Yeah, and it works conversely as well. I have a client right now who is working through his dad's estate who recently passed. And there are things that his dad wanted him to keep that he has no place for.
Right.
His wife doesn't want them. They've kept a lot of beautiful things, but they're going to box up these beautiful things and put them in storage.
Yep.
And so
probably never come back out.
And it's not because he wouldn't go out and buy these things today, but it's the guilt associated with those conversations that really go a long way. Jenny, love the bees. They help me with everything in my house, especially Christmas decorating. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, thank you, Jenny. It's awesome.
Nikki says you do the best Christmas pots in town. That doesn't sound like organization. That sounds like decoration.
Well, what we do, we also have a concierge side of our business. And so that's along those Christmas decorating and doing people's front pots. It's really everything, Jason. Our goal is to simplify people's lives. And if we can take things off of their to-do list so that they can be more intentional and present in their everyday life, that does then fall in line with our goal. And that is to simplify people's lives, or actually their hives.
Right. I forgot to mention that earlier. You guys talk about everything being a hive.
Yes, yes.
So thanks for joining me from your hive. And Rennie says the kids do not want it. That's not 100% true, Rennie. But you're right. They may not want everything. but give them the
Right.
space to accept the things that they want. And nor did you want everything of your parents. It's not new to this generation.
Right.
What's new to this generation is the lack of basements and storage or willing to
Right.
pay for those things.
Right. Well, and I think what's cool and Rennie is right, a lot of times the kids don't want it, but if the kids are involved in that process, and that's where Be Organized works with you, Jason, a lot is I'll text you things, I'll send you a picture of things, and so one we get ourselves educated on the value of something, and then also find solutions and alternatives that feel good in the head and heart of the original owner. For example, sending it on to you so that they get an awesome, payback,
Right.
dollar in their pocket, or we will help them. We've gotten creative and we will send wedding dresses on to a stage group, like a theater group.
Oh,
We
sure.
even had a client then that went to and watched a show that her wedding dress was in.
Oh,
So
that's wonderful.
finding different ways to find a second life for those items. It's not always necessarily going to be in your kid's basement or your grandchildren's basement.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
Yeah,
let's talk about, we talked about the parents taking care of things and trying to organize. Let's talk about some of the things the kids can maybe do to help with that conversation as well, because it's not a one-way street, and I think that there's not as much responsibility on the kids' part, but ultimately the burden will fall to them one way or the other. So, do you have any ideas or thoughts on what children can do to help their parents organize and get involved in
absolutely.
these conversations?
Well, like I said earlier, getting in there with them and having those conversations and learning about those items, one, that's a great bonding time. And helping them. It's overwhelming. When it is your stuff, it's not
Mhm.
just stuff, right?
No.
All those items, those belongings, tell a story. And they're part of the fabric of your life, right? And so being able to tell that story, one, that's a act of love to your parents or your grandparents. So spending the time with them and hearing the stories, and then also really getting in there and rolling up your sleeves and helping them. And then, looking for solutions like a Be Organized and maybe buying gift certificates for them to do something like that to help them start the process to get the ball rolling. Because oftentimes it's the starting. It's so overwhelming to walk down in that basement or go up in that attic or open up that china hutch. It's just overwhelming. So they'll put it off. So going in and helping them get started, come up with a plan, is the most loving thing to do.
So what is one of the, so once they've decided either the parents on their own or with the kids or jointly individually, what's like the first thing somebody should do before they call a professional like you to come in? What's something they can do that's pretty easy and simple and really gets the ball moving forward and puts them in a better space that they feel more comfortable in and helps you when you come on the scene?
I think, doing a simple walkthrough of your house and really identifying what are those items that you can't live without, right?
Mm.
That if you're going into independent living or downsizing into a patio home, what are those pieces that really mean home to you? So I would say, starting on that side, that hopefully, obviously, when you're downsizing, you're going to bring less with you and sell or give away or, dispose of a lot more than what you're going to take with you. So starting on that side of what is it that you love? What makes your heart sing? What is it that, when you walk in the door at the end of the day that really makes you feel like you're home? And I think that's a great way to start because it gives you a little bit of a parameter of, okay, I know for certain I'm going to take these items. And then it starts helping you dig in deeper into the other items. I also think when somebody establishes what they absolutely love and cannot live without, then maybe they realize, okay, I can take those. Then that changes their shift in their mind, allows them to start thinking of, okay, you know what, I am going to have to let go of other things and then start the process. I also
That's great.
think getting a floor plan of the next space,
Oh, right.
because oftentimes we are having to remind clients, when you're significantly downsizing in square footage, it's a pure mathematical problem, right? You cannot put as much stuff into that space. So getting a floor plan, maybe then determining where those pieces are going to go in that new space that you love. And then it starts kind of taking care of itself. They start realizing, you know what, I cannot take all of this with me.
Yeah, Tetris is a fun game to play. It's not a great way to live.
Right, exactly. We call it puzzling, Tetris. It's the same thing. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So after they've done that first step, they've gone through and said, these are things I can't live without in my new home. And they decide, we still want to call somebody like Kristen with Be Organized, or one of your other Bs, and you have many. We'll talk about them in just a minute. What can they expect when somebody reaches out to you? What are you going to ask them? What are you going to propose to them or present to them? And what are you going to do in those first phone calls and visits that they should be expecting?
That's awesome. Great questions. Well, first of all, how do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? And so that's where we come in lovingly and just say, we're going to sit down and help you eat this elephant, and we're going to do it in an orderly fashion. And oh, by the way, we're going to have a heck of a lot of fun. And so we come to them just with compassion, confidentiality, and without judgment. Those are our beliefs here at Be Organized. And then we start the process with a complimentary assessment where we come in, we sit down, talk to them, listen. We ask a lot of probing questions to find where they are in their timeline, where they're going, also where they are in their head as far as their connection with their belongings, because we want to come to them prepared and ready and meet them where they are. And so at that assessment is very important, because that's where we are then going to start formulating the plan and the timeline and the approach. And it's important to mark here too, we will work with anybody, whatever their timeline is and their budget. We really want to customize our approach to them. So that assessment is where that starts. If somebody wants to do it on a budget, we can come in and get them started and then assign homework assignments and then kind of keep up on them, have an accountability. Or we can come in and do the whole thing and work alongside them in getting it done in a fraction of a time. So yeah, then we sit down and we start eating that elephant. But we have a lot of fun doing it as well. And the nice thing too is working with somebody like us, we are going to have all the resources that we need, like a Jason with KC Auction Company. When we're talking about items that they don't know what to do, they don't know if it has a value, what would be the best solution for offloading these items. So we have all kinds of, partners with coin collections and pinball machine people and all those things that you find in homes that they don't know how to get rid of it or what to do with it.
Absolutely. And yeah, oftentimes it's the survivor who doesn't know what to do with those things, right? And it's really, really challenging. A lot of this reminds me, I did an interview with Dr. Brick Frank a while ago about estate trauma. And it applies to every part of our business, and you see it all the time as well. And I one of the reasons I like working with you and Lisa so much is that you do have fun with it, even though it's a very serious situation, an important situation. And it's something that really is important to me. I approach a lot of things with humor, not in a defensive or negative way, but because I think people respond easier and better to it than it's easier. People can handle negative news if it's told in a positive way. Still get the same message.
Absolutely.
So we talked about your hive and your bees. Talk about, you guys have kind of had some amazing things happen to you. You decided to franchise a couple of years ago. You're in Kansas City, Dallas, San Francisco, and Oklahoma City.
Yes, and soon in Miami.
Well, that just sounds like an excuse for a vacation.
I know, right? I'm packing right now. I don't know. It's such a hot spot. I don't know that we want to go there right now.
What's the COVID policy right now? But wow, you're going to be in 5 different cities around the country, and really San Fran to Miami to Kansas City. You cover.
We're coast to coast. The bees are there, right?
Seattle, New York, and Boston are next, right, baby? So what was the thought process behind franchising, and obviously I know you and Lisa. I know, Lisa's kids and ours went to the same Parents Day Out program 15 years ago now.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
But when somebody contacts a franchise in another city, they're not going to get you and Lisa. How do this is a business conversation, which is my show. I can talk about anything I want to.
Yeah.
How do you maintain that quality? How do you maintain the standards of business that I expect from you here? How do you maintain those same standards in other cities? That's a
great question.
Challenge.
And that was our concern when we first looked into franchising, because what we have built here is based on our service, and like I said, our beliefs that we approach every job and client with confidentiality, compassion, and judgment free. And we look at this business that we do, like you mentioned, it's an honor. It's such an honor to come into people's homes. It's so intimate, what we do, and we don't take that lightly. So those were heavy conversations when we first were approached and thought about franchising. And the way that we have done that is, one, systems and processes and training. When somebody buys a Be Organized franchise, you get everything. It's, to say a business in a box sounds a little light, but that's literally what it is. They get everything of how we do what we do. And then we're also very intentional about who we partner with. And so it's quite a process to, get to know each other, and in that sales process and getting that discovery process before we sign a contract with somebody to franchise. So we are growing slowly and intentionally because of that, because it's so important to us, the kind of people we bring on board. We can teach somebody how to organize. And I can also help somebody with the business acumen, because you're buying the business. We are going to show you all the systems and processes. But I cannot teach somebody how to be compassionate and confidential and judgment free. So to us, it's really a lot more about the person, and then we'll fill in the rest. So, and we're just so honored. We have partnered with the most amazing, we call them queen bees, our franchisees, and they are just extraordinary. So yes, you can find this exact same kind of service in Dallas, San Francisco, Oklahoma City, and Miami soon. And hopefully a lot more other markets soon.
That's amazing. I'll be able to say I knew you win here shortly.
Thank you.
Don't forget the little people on your way up.
No. You'll be right there with me, Jason. How many times do I text you and I need your help?
A lot and not enough. We love getting those texts.
You're awesome.
We love to help people as much as you do. I think that's kind of what we do well together.
Right.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. We've gone through the things I've listed out to tell. I always like to give my guests a couple minutes at the end to kind of just tell us what they want. And this can be anything about your business. I know you have some other things that are important to your life. I know you've gone through breast cancer. You're a 9-year survivor. Is that right?
You know what? And we're almost at the end of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So one of my passions is absolutely just be an advocate for yourself, and a real big advocator of personal breast exams, self-breast exams, along with mammograms, is life-saving.
Absolutely. So you can talk about the business, you can talk about organization, you can talk about breast cancer awareness, you can talk about anything you want to, Kristen. I'm going to give you a couple minutes here to finish off the show. I'll wrap it up with a goodbye, but take the floor, it's yours, and tell people what you want them to hear.
You're awesome. Gosh, I never get this opportunity. I just get to talk. Well, first of all, Jason, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. And I could talk. My passion is absolutely organization. And we did cover a lot, but really, there's 2 rules to getting and staying organized. And I always say this, and if everybody followed this, I wouldn't have a job. But really, in the end of the day, it is owning less, only keeping what you absolutely love, use, and need on a regular basis, and then finding a home for everything. And so if I could give that as a kind of a nugget or motivation for people, that really owning less and having order in your home does bring happiness and peace of mind. And I know it definitely makes me a better person and a better mom, and more patient. So that I am passionate on just helping people find the right way to organize that fits their season of life and their personality and their family.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then one last plug. If you are looking for a change and wanting to be a entrepreneur and an own business owner, but you don't want to do it all by yourself, Be Organized franchising is an incredible way to have the best of both worlds, to have your own business, but also not be alone, because we have the synergy and the support of Be Organized.
Absolutely. And so folks who are watching, beorganized.com, if you have questions for Kristen or questions about Be Organized itself, that's a great place to go. It's a beautiful website. As you would expect, it's very organized.
Better.
You can find them on social media at Be Organized KC on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. It's really easy at Be Organized KC. If you just Google Be Organized, you'll find them anywhere.
Be Organized. We're there.
If you
Yes.
have a question for Kristen or any other queen bees, info@beorganized.com or 913-735-6409 are the best ways to get a hold of them. And I want to put this up here real quick. Rennie said that you are a phenomenal leader in all things.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you,
Rennie
Rennie.
is a big cheerleader, it looks like, which is awesome. We all need
Everybody has to have cheerleaders.
You're damn skippy about that.
I like that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching us today on Behind the Gavel with Jason. You know, we bring this to you every Friday morning at 11:45 Central. You can always find out more about our company at kcauctioncompany.com. That's kind of what supports this endeavor. Where are my other tags? If you have questions from me, my staff, or from any of our guests, you can always send those to info@kcauctioncompany.com. You can give us a call at 816-283-3633. Love to hear your questions about what's going on in our shows. If you have ideas for shows, we'd love to hear that, or ideas for guests, we'd be thrilled to hear that as well. And let's get another quick comment. Come on. Oh, you're going to love this one.
Oh,
Mom, I'm so proud of you.
Oh, there's Kayla, sweet thing. That's my freshman at KU.
Oh, you got a freshman at KU? I got a freshman at St. Louis University.
Oh,
So
you do? Okay, yeah.
our bees are fleeing the hive.
They are.
It is exactly what we want.
Go.
Fly. Spread your wings and fly.
I love it. Thank you, Kayla. That's sweet.
Kristen, thank you so much again.
Oh my gosh, what an honor.
Next week, I'll be talking to myself because my guest just canceled. We have some really exciting things here. We just won Best of Kansas City Auction House for the fifth time in 7 years. We talk about that. We'll give a Corona roundup for the year because that's been a crazy year at the office. And by next week, I have a couple of other big announcements I should be able to make. And so next week will just be a roundup of the KC Auction Company, which we like to do about once a quarter. So Kristen, again, thank you so much. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Happy Halloween to all you people out there and watching us live. And we will see you next week.
Thank you, Jason, so much. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.